Hey everyone, it's Lisa Davis from Lisa Davis Body Construction. I'm traveling again and no gym this time. So I have brought my jump rope and a resistance band. I like an extra heavy band and this one is pretty good for this. There's obviously heavier makes, but this one says it's extra heavy. I'll put a link below. Apparently I wore it off yesterday, but it says extra heavy on it somewhere. Right there, it did extra heavy. Anyway, these are the kind that I like. I'll put a link below. And so it's just a circular, I call it an O-band. And I'm got my 5mm PVC jump rope from Dope Ropes. I'll put a link below for that as well. I almost exclusively use Dope Ropes unless I'm using a weighted rope. So I really like these for what I'm gonna do. And I'm going to warm up with jump rope. I'll show just a little bit as I put in the exercises we're going to do. And you can just do this workout on your own. Or you can just replay the part that I show if you want to do it with me. But there's going to be 6 exercises. I'll put the number of reps that I recommend, but you're going to do how many ever you need to really feel this every time. And we're going to go through it 3 to 6 times. And I've got jump rope in between each round. That's clearly optional. You do what you want. I've also brought a mat. It's just a foldable yoga mat. I'll put a link for that as well. I bought this on Amazon because I like to have a surface that I can jump rope on and that can cushion my body when I'm on sand or volcanic rock or whatever. So obviously I'm on a beach. I enjoy doing that and I try to find a kind of shady place. I hope you enjoy this workout. You can do it anywhere, but it's so easy to take these things along when you're traveling. They're very light, they're tiny, they can pack easily into your carry-on or whatever suitcase you're bringing, and you don't have to miss a workout. Let's get started.
First exercise, we're going to have the band around the arches of the feet. I gestured there that you could put it around your ankles. It's a little bit more intense around the arches, so I have it there. We're going to do a push-up and then a plank jack. I suggest 8 to 10 of these. I did 10. I've never been strong at push-ups. I feel like that's going to be my eternal battle. But if you need to, you can go onto your knees and you can do your push-up from your knees, as I'm going to show right here in the inset above the inset. But then go to your toes and go ahead and do that plank jack. So that's an option. But just because it's hard doesn't mean that we don't do it. We do it anyway. Just try to keep good form. Exercise 2, again, we're having the band around the arches of the feet. Don't put it around your ankles because it won't work on this one. So we're going to do a nice deep squat, stand up and pull that knee up against that resistance of the band. And we're going to do between 10 and 12 on each leg. We're going to go through this whole thing at least 3 times, 3 to 6 times, how many ever times you want to do it. I did 3 times through this. So you're going to be coming back to this. But we want it to stay pretty intense. So do all on one leg, then all on the other leg. And again, we're going to squat down deep. The more deep you can go, the more it's going to work your glutes when you stand up. Make sure you extend those hips all the way and your knees all the way. Even though I recommend 10 to 12 on each leg, some rounds I did more like 16. And I really wanted to work my hip flexors. So I already talked about the fact that when you squat and then extend at the hips and knees, you're going to work your glutes more there in the booty. But I also want to work that hip flexor, and that's what the band work is doing here. Also up into the lower part of the abs. I feel like hip flexors get neglected a little bit as far as being isolated in workouts, and they're important to keep strong as well. And flexible too, so make sure you stretch this at the end. This next exercise is also going to have the band around the arches of the feet and around the ankles. So I gesture there, don't put it around the ankles. Yes, around the arches of the feet. And then you'll flip over onto all fours. And you're going to push your heel straight back. I suggest doing between 12 and 16. And again, I kind of went more towards 16, even though these are actually pretty intense. And I'm using a heavy, extra heavy actually, resistance band. So that's quite a lot of resistance. But make sure when you do this that your heel is pushing up higher. It's not just scooting along your foot along the floor. Make sure your heel is up high. And you can see that I kind of pause when my foot is extended. So it's out and extend. Really get a good contraction through the glutes. It's going to work a little bit up into your low back as well, just because of the nature of the positioning and the resistance. Focusing though on the glutes. Up above, I'm still showing my jump rope warm-up. I'm going to be talking about the jump rope that I did between rounds coming up here, so stay tuned for that. On exercise 4, the bands will be on our hands. And I'm showing there that you don't want to grip them with your hands. You want to have them on the outside of your hand. And we're just going to keep our elbow slightly bent as we do kind of a squat jack there. And notice it's more of a plie squat. I've got my feet coming out wide and I sink down in the middle. So this is going to kind of work not just your quads, but the adductors, the inner thighs. And it really can get them pretty intensely. We're going to continue to keep the bands up in the hands. You're going to notice that I have my elbows straight above. We're going to do a lat pull down with a jack. So we're going to hold it up as tight as we can. Keep the wrist straight. Don't kink it off like I'm showing. And I'm also going to have a little moment here where I show don't pull in front. Pull out to the side. So we're trying to work our lats, which are down the sides of your body more. It's a back muscle. But I did between 10 and 16 on each side. And we're just focusing really on just pulling down. This extra heavy band says that it's between 25 and 30 pounds of resistance. That all depends on the positioning that you're using. So you might want to do more reps if you don't feel that starting to work. The last exercise is going to have the bands around either the arches of your feet or the lower leg. I have mine here on the outside of the lower leg because this is pretty intense. I gestured there that we want to not dip our hip down too low. It's not going to come all the way to the ground. This is pretty intense. I keep saying it. But you can also leave out the leg lift if you need to. Try to keep your hand right underneath your shoulder. My hands were sweaty and they were kind of sliding a little bit and it was kind of hard to keep the position. And I also have a weaker side. We all have a dominant side and a weaker side. The one I'm doing right now is my weaker side. But you're going to feel this contract the obliques on the lower side, the side that's towards the ground. But it's also going to work your outer thighs, your abductors on the top hip. So pretty intense for that whole area, especially the core. Now I mentioned that I did some jump rope in between each round. What I decided to do after round 1 was 100 boxer skips. And I am just really bad at counting. I count in my head. Even if I count out loud, I swear I count too many every time. And I could have sworn I counted 100, but when I was editing this, I had more like 120, which is not uncommon. I don't understand how it happens. I thought I was a good counter back before I discovered that I was a terrible counter. But anyway, I edited some off. But I'm showing here the boxer skip. And if you're not familiar with the boxer skip, or if you're struggling with the boxer skip, and you can't quite catch on, I will link a video below where I kind of did a tutorial on how to do the boxer skip or things that you can do to help you learn it. But just try. It doesn't matter if you mess up. It's a great cardio exercise even if you mess up. So if it drives you crazy, just do basic bounces or something. But again, I did 100 here, and it just takes a minute or so, and then I went back through all of those exercises that we already showed. And after round 2 of the exercises with the band, I did 2 different things. First, I went 5 times through this, where I did 10 scissors and then a double under. So it ended up being 50 scissors and 5 double unders. So that didn't take very long to do. And after that, I decided to practice my backward basic bounce. I'll show this in a moment. But first I just want to say, if you haven't done any backwards jumping, it might be weird, because notice when I jump forward, I've got that down. I just do a little flick of the wrist, keep the elbows in tight. But when I bounce backward, which I'm now going to show, I tend to wing my arms a lot. And it's a totally different beast. So why don't you try some of these? I did 50 of them. Well, okay, I did 60. And then at the end, you'll see I mess up and my glasses were falling off because I get so sweaty. But practice some backwards. So those are the 2 different things that I did between rounds 2 and 3. After the 3rd time through the muscle work, I did 50 EB swings here, and I show a side view of a few of them and then just the forward view. If you're not familiar with these, pay close attention to how I do it. Some people really get tangled up in the rope. They really struggle with this. But the important thing to do is make sure that your hand that's closest to you stays close to you. The other one's going to cross way over, and you can see I really cross it. So you're going to cross over and turn to the outside so your rope really doesn't tangle or get twisted. But it's going to take some practice. So just have fun. Try 50 of those. And then I honestly didn't even count here. So we're going to guess 100, but just fast heels. They're great drills for runners, obviously for jump ropers, or anybody who wants a little bit more fast twitch muscle fiber training, because it causes you to move in a different way than you're used to. Most of the time when we're jumping rope, we're up on our toes. So this is changing your dynamics. It's an important thing to add, I think, for a skill. So practice these. I love workouts like this. As I'm getting older, I'm really working on getting enough protein and trying to keep my muscles built. I'm lifting heavier weights than I've ever lifted before. When I have access to heavy weights, I try for 30 pounds now. I've gone up from 25 to 30, and I've noticed instead of having string bean arms, they're string beans with a little bit more muscle on them. I'm 57 years old now. You can see that I have KT tape on the back of my leg there because I always strain something when I go running. Yeah, so it's just life. But anyway, I'm trying to keep my muscles strong, and these kind of workouts do a great job at that. And then of course we've got the cardio training, which is so important too.
Hey guys, that's it. So I think it was a pretty decent workout. I hope you made it as hard as you needed it. You can do more reps, you can do more rounds, whatever it takes to get that intensity for you. Now make sure to stretch everything and have just a great day, guys, even if you're working or if you're on vacation. Do everything you can to not lose where you're at in your goals and in your fitness journey. Have a fabulous day.